guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be doing an E36 Knuckle conversion on this E46. We are also going to be installing an E36 sway bar with a custom end link setup to work with our FAPO angle kit, which is going to give us way better forward bite on transition while we're drifting. Let's go. Alrighty guys, so at the last drift event we had a little bit of contact on the front right wheel and our coilover is starting to pull out of the knuckle. I tried to pull it out and reset it and tighten this bolt back down, and when I got back on track it pulled back out. I've heard these knuckles, these are E46 knuckles, I've heard they're a lot weaker than the E36 knuckles, so I picked up a set of these and I picked up a front set of E36 coilovers. So we're going to be getting in here and we're going to replace this whole knuckle assembly here with the E36 unit. And that should give us better geometry for drifting as well as a stronger knuckle. And I also prefer the design because it bolts on in 3 spots versus this pinch bolt here, which tends to be super weak. We're also going to be installing this E36 sway bar. These are SLR sway bar end links, and we're going to be doing a little custom mount to get them to fit up with the FAPO kit on the E46. So let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull the pinch bolt off for the coilover. So it's going to be an 18 millimeter, and we're just going to crack it loose. Alright, so we got the bolt out for the knuckle. Next thing we're going to do is pull the 2 caliper bracket bolts to get the caliper off. Alright, so we've got our caliper off now. I'm going to let it dangle. Don't come at me for that. Alrighty, so now I've got the caliper off. We're going to now take the 3 top nuts off the coilover up here, and I'm going to get the whole suspension drop down and we'll get the coilovers out. Alrighty, now we've got our E36 spindle. We can throw it right on the same E46 knuckle adapter. And then all we have to do is add our spacer washer right here and reinstall the nut and the washer here and the bolt here, and we will be good to go. Now we've got the knuckle bolted up. Both of these points are all tight down now. The next thing we can do is reassemble. We're going to switch out our old E46 coilover for an E36 coilover. That will bolt up to these 3 points here, and then we are good to go. Now we have the E36 coilover bolted up to our knuckle. One thing I do want to point out that I didn't know when I was doing this was that if you don't have these bolts from your E36 and you need to get them from Ace Hardware or any hardware store, this is actually an M12 by 1.75 thread pitch. A lot of the M12 bolts on BMWs are going to be 1.5, and there wasn't a lot of information on it online, so I had to go back to the store, but just pointing that out, that is a 1.75 thread pitch. We've got the coilover in now. I'm going to then get my rotor right here and throw it back on. And the nice thing about this swap is that the E46 rotor and the E46 caliper will bolt right up. If you want to do a quick and dirty big brake upgrade, you can actually bolt E46 330i brakes up to this, and everything will bolt up regularly, and then you'll have a budget big brake kit. So let me get this stuff on and then we'll go from there. So we've got everything put back together now on the knuckle. We've got everything tight over here. Moving over to the sway bar situation, I kind of wanted to adapt an E36 sway bar to this chassis. I've seen a few people do it kind of on the forums online, and I wanted to, give it a shot myself. So this is what I came up with. This is an E36 bar, and then the E46 brackets and bushings to bolt it up to the chassis. We're going to throw a couple videos up on the screen on kind of the technicalities of how I did this, what I used. But everything came out super well. The only thing I will point out is that I did grind the head of this bolt down right here, because when you get to full lock on your angle kit, it starts to get a little close. So now there's a little bit of an air gap, and I feel a lot better about it. The best way to do this would be to get the SLR sway bar, but it's $600 and I don't have that kind of money laying around. So this is a quick and dirty way to get yourself a sway bar back on the E46 using the FAPO or SLR angle kits. I wanted to take a second to go over the modifications that I made to this SLR end link. This is an E46 SLR end link that I got off their website. It is made to work with the SLR sway bar that they produce, but I am modifying it to work with our E36 sway bar on the E46 chassis. So normally these two come like this. They're supposed to sit between this fork right here, but I modified them. I ground them down to take the conical sides off of them, so it was just the little stubs that fit inside of the end link right there. So basically ground them down flush so that the bolt could go through. You can see them in there and the bolt just slides through there. I then went to Home Depot and I got a piece of this steel tubing and I cut it down to fit right in there so that it would reinforce the mount on the control arm. And then other than that, all I had to do was get a little bit of a longer bolt, and I went through the entire thing right here and bolted that up. Other than that, everything else is just factory, and the E36 sway bar bolts right up. You can see a little better what I was kind of talking about here. We have the little black spacers that have been ground down to sit inside the end link and take up the space so that the bolt can slide through and fit securely. Over here we have ground our bolt down, and then we have this piece of tubing from Home Depot that we cut down to fill this space here, and that reinforces the control arm so nothing bends. Other than that, we just adjusted our end links so that everything fit tightly, and it should work just how it is. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really hope it helped you out. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while, to get the sway bar hooked up and kind of switch over to an E36 Knuckle. So I really do hope it helped, and I would appreciate it if you guys went over to my website, big3performance.com. I'm opening a shop over in Sarasota, Florida here, and I would love some support. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you later.